Growing up in Apex, a happy memory would be, I would say the holidays, because my parents were sharecroppers and we lived on the Seagroves farm. So when Christmas and Easter came, we got to come up to Lillian Womble and her husband's house and get Christmas and Easter gifts and baskets, and Miss Esther Cook and her husband Sid Cook. And then we would leave there and go down to J.Q. Seagroves and his wife Margaret, and they would have gifts and fruit baskets for us. So that was a really good time for us. We really enjoyed being in the neighborhood. Oh man, living in the WAPS community was absolutely great because we didn't have any cares or worries. Everybody looked out for each other, and we would eat in everybody's house. There was not a house that we weren't allowed to go in. Everybody felt safe, and just being in WAPS it was like everybody wanted to live in WAPS, because as soon as one family would move out of WAPS, somebody else would move in. And it was just a big family of different families in the community that made WAPS just perfect, because everybody was family. If you left home and you disobeyed, then the neighbors were allowed to put you in order. They were allowed to tell you, you can't do that. And then when you got home, oh, you got disciplined again. So it was a community. Everybody cared for each other. Everybody was family. Oh, what makes Apex home is the history. There's so much history here. We talk about the WAPS community. We talk about the little community of Frogtown. We talk about the lower end. We talk about the Friendship New Hill area. And all these people would come together and they would have ball. We would play ball. And it was that's just a great memory that I have. It's just like we would all come together. There was no fighting. There was no anger. And I'm sure it probably was, but we didn't see it. You know, you get mad with somebody, but the next day you were cool with them. So it was just a lot of peace, serenity, just surreal. Wow, I just hope Apex doesn't outgrow itself. I hope it remains people-oriented, that, you know, people, especially the older people, because they're dying out. And we need to get all the history we can now to just have it so people would know what a great town this is, what a great town this has always been. The different stores, they're no longer here anymore, but it holds a big part in our hearts. The John Beasley's and the Bennett's clothing stores and the pharmacies and the dime store, just Ralph Martin, just all of those different stores. We grew up in them and just want to keep the history alive for the town of Apex. Talking about the people that lived in the WAPS community, some of them owned their property, they owned their land, but there were others that didn't. They were renters or they were sharecroppers, but it didn't matter. Everybody was treated the same. If you owned land, if you didn't own land, if you had money, if you didn't have money, everybody was treated the same. And we'd have big parties in the Grove, and the Grove is where we raise money for the school to have activity bus, or we wanted to have band uniforms or whatever. We would have a big cookout in the Grove, and everybody would come buy a sandwich and dance and play music and just hang out.